If you walked into any grocery store right now and filled your cart the way most people do, you would spend at least 40% more than you need to. I know that sounds dramatic, but I checked the numbers myself, and it is actually worse than that in some categories. The truth is there are about 20 foods that cost almost nothing, last forever, and can carry your family through any week no matter what happens with prices or supply chains. Nobody is making videos about these because they are not exciting. They are not trendy. But they are the reason some families eat well on $50 a week, while others blow $200 and still have nothing for dinner on Thursday night. I have been tracking grocery prices for months now, and what I keep finding shocks me. The gap between smart pantry staples and everything else on the shelf is getting wider every single quarter. And when we get to number 14 on this list, you are going to stop and rethink the way you have been shopping for years. I promise you that one item alone could save you hundreds of dollars a year, and almost nobody thinks to buy it. If this kind of insider knowledge is what you come here for, then you already know what to do. Hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because I put out content like this every single week, and the people who watch early are the ones who benefit the most. Let us get into it. Item number 1, dry rice. This is the foundation of every budget pantry on the planet, and yet I still meet people who do not keep more than one bag at home. A 20-pound bag of long-grain white rice at Walmart right now runs you about $9 to $10. That is roughly 15 cents per serving. 15 cents. You cannot buy a single thing at any fast food restaurant for 15 cents. Rice stores for years if you keep it sealed and dry. I am talking 4, 5, even 10 years for white rice in a cool, dark place. Brown rice is a little different because the oils can go rancid after about 6 months, but white rice is practically immortal. I started buying the big bags at Costco about 2 years ago, and I have not looked back. One bag lasts my household over a month. When prices spiked on everything else last year, I barely noticed because rice was always there. Keep at least 2 large bags in your pantry at all times. If you do nothing else from this list, do this one thing. It is the cheapest insurance policy you will ever buy. Item number 2, dried beans. I know some of you just rolled your eyes. Beans are boring. I get it. But boring is what keeps you fed when everything else gets expensive. A 1-pound bag of pinto beans costs about $1.20 at most grocery stores right now. That single bag makes roughly 10 servings of protein-rich food. You are looking at 12 cents per serving for one of the most nutritious foods on earth. The canned versions work too, but you are paying 3 to 4 times more for water and a tin can. I used to buy canned beans every single week until I actually did the math. I was spending close to $15 a month on beans when I could have been spending $3 or $4 for the same amount. Soak them overnight. Cook them in a pot or a slow cooker. Season them however you want. Black beans, kidney beans, navy beans, lentils. They all fall into this category. Stock at least 5 pounds of mixed dried beans in your pantry. Your future self will thank you when chicken hits $7 a pound and you still have protein on the table. Item number 3, oats. Old-fashioned rolled oats might be the single most underpriced food in any grocery store in America right now. A large canister at Walmart costs around $3.50. That gives you roughly 30 servings of breakfast. Do the math on that. You are paying about 12 cents per breakfast. Compare that to cereal, which runs $5 to $7 a box and gives you maybe 10 bowls if you are being generous. Compare it to eggs, which are still elevated in many parts of the country. Compare it to any breakfast sandwich from any drive-through window. I started eating oats every morning about a year ago, and my grocery bill dropped noticeably just from that one change. You can make overnight oats, baked oats, oat flour for pancakes, even use them as a binder in meatloaf or meatballs. They are one of the most versatile staples you can own. Buy the big canisters or the bulk bags. Store them in airtight containers. They last over a year with no issues at all. Item number 4, peanut butter. Here is something most people do not realize. Peanut butter is one of the most calorie-dense and nutrient-dense affordable foods available anywhere. A standard jar gives you about 15 servings of protein and healthy fats for roughly $3. That is 20 cents per serving for something that actually keeps you full. I have noticed that store-brand peanut butter has gotten significantly better over the past few years. The Walmart Great Value version and the Kirkland brand at Costco are both excellent, and they cost a fraction of what the name brands charge. The ingredient list is simpler too in many cases. Keep 2 or 3 jars in your pantry at all times. Unopened peanut butter lasts well over a year. It works for snacks, sandwiches, smoothies, sauces, and baking. If you have kids, this is basically a non-negotiable. Even if you do not have kids, this is one of the smartest dollars you can spend in any grocery store. This is the kind of item that separates people who know how to eat well on a budget from people who think eating cheap means going hungry. Item number 5. Canned tomatoes. This one changed the way I cook at home, and I am not exaggerating. A 28-ounce can of crushed or diced tomatoes costs between 80 cents and $1.50, depending on where you shop. That single can is the base for pasta sauce, chili, soup, stew, curry, shakshuka, and about a dozen other meals. I used to buy jarred pasta sauce for $3 to $4 a jar, until I realized that canned tomatoes with a few spices I already had at home tasted better and cost a third of the price. Once I made that switch, I never went back. The store brands are almost always identical to the name brands in this category. I have compared ingredient lists side by side. They come from the same types of facilities and use the same grade of tomatoes. Stock at least 6 to 8 cans. They last 2 to 3 years on the shelf. When tomato prices spike in the fresh produce section, and they do spike every single summer, you will already be covered. Item number 6. Pasta. Dry pasta is one of those items that people forget about until they need it. A 1-pound box of spaghetti or penne costs about $1 to $1.30 at most stores. Some stores still have it under $1 if you watch for sales. That single box feeds a family of 4 as a base for dinner. The shelf life on dry pasta is practically unlimited if you keep it sealed. I have used pasta that sat in my pantry for over 2 years, and it cooked up perfectly fine. There is no degradation in taste or texture if it stays dry. I keep at least 10 pounds of assorted pasta shapes in my pantry at all times. It sounds like a lot, but when you think about it, that is only 10 boxes. $10 worth of food that can anchor dozens of meals. Pair it with those canned tomatoes from the last item and some dried herbs, and you have a complete dinner for under $2 for the whole family. That is the power of a well-stocked pantry. These items work together. Item number 7. Flour. Here is where things start to get interesting because most people under 40 do not buy flour anymore. They have been trained to buy everything pre-made. But a 5-pound bag of all-purpose flour costs about $3, and it unlocks an entire world of cooking that most people are paying 10 times more for at the store. Bread, tortillas, pancakes, biscuits, pizza dough, gravy, coating for fried chicken, thickener for soups. The list goes on and on. I started making my own tortillas last year after watching one video online, and I have not bought a pack of store tortillas since. The homemade ones cost literally pennies and taste dramatically better. Flour stores well for about a year in a cool, dry place. If you put it in the freezer for a few days after buying it, you kill any potential pantry moth eggs, which is a tip I wish someone had told me years ago. Keep at least 5 pounds on hand. If you bake regularly, keep 10. This is one of those items that our grandparents never ran out of, and there was a very good reason for that. Item number 8. Cooking oil. You cannot cook without fat. That is just a basic reality. And the cheapest way to keep fat in your kitchen is a large bottle of vegetable oil or canola oil. A 48-ounce bottle runs about $4 to $5 and lasts most households a month or more. I know there is a lot of debate online about which oils are healthiest. That is a separate conversation. What I am telling you right now is that from a pure budget and pantry perspective, you need cooking oil, and you need to always have a backup bottle. When you run out of oil in the middle of cooking dinner, that is when you end up ordering takeout and spending $25 you did not plan to spend. Olive oil is great, but it costs significantly more. If you can afford it, keep a small bottle for salads and finishing dishes. But your everyday workhorse oil should be something affordable that you always have on hand. I buy mine at Costco in the large bottles, and I never worry about running out. That peace of mind is worth more than people realize. Item number 9. Salt. This might seem too obvious to mention, but I am mentioning it because I have seen people run out of salt and not replace it for weeks. Salt is the single most important seasoning in your kitchen. Without it, every single thing you cook will taste flat and disappointing. And the irony is that it costs almost nothing. A large canister of iodized salt costs about $1, and it lasts months. You could buy 10 canisters for $10 and have enough salt for a year or more. There is no excuse for not having this in your pantry. I also keep a box of kosher salt for cooking because the larger flakes are easier to control. That costs about $3 and lasts just as long. Between the two, you are covered for every recipe you will ever make. This is one of those items that costs so little people forget to buy it and then wonder why their home cooking never tastes as good as restaurant food. Salt is the answer about 60% of the time. Item number 10. Sugar. Sugar gets a bad reputation in health circles, and I understand why, but from a pantry staple perspective, it is essential. A 4-pound bag costs about $3, and it is used in far more than just desserts. You need sugar for baking, for balancing acidity in tomato sauces, for marinades, for homemade salad dressings, for oatmeal, for coffee, and for dozens of other everyday uses. White granulated sugar stores indefinitely. I mean that literally. If you keep it in an airtight container away from moisture, it will never go bad. It does not expire. It does not lose potency. It just sits there waiting for you to use it. I keep at least 10 pounds of sugar in my pantry at all times. I also keep a small bag of brown sugar for specific recipes. The total cost is under $10, and it covers me for months. When I see people buying individual packets of flavored oatmeal for $5 a box, I think about how a canister of plain oats and a bag of sugar does the same job for a fraction of the cost. That is the kind of thinking that separates budget-smart shoppers from everyone else. Item number 11. Canned tuna. I almost did not include this one because the prices have gone up noticeably over the past 2 years. But even with the increases, a can of chunk-light tuna still costs about $1 to $1.50. That is a full serving of lean protein for the price of a vending machine snack. Tuna works in sandwiches, salads, pasta dishes, casseroles, and rice bowls. It requires zero cooking. You open the can, and it is ready. For busy families and people who do not have time or energy to cook a full meal every night, this is a lifesaver. I buy mine in the multi-packs at Costco, or when they go on sale at Kroger. I usually keep at least a dozen cans in the pantry. The shelf life is 3 to 5 years, so there is no risk of waste. I spoke to someone who works in food distribution last year, and they told me that canned tuna is one of the items they expect to see more price pressure on because of fishing regulations and fuel costs. That tells me now is the time to stock up, not later. Buy the multi-packs when you see them on sale and put them away. Item number 12. Chicken broth or bouillon cubes. This is one of those items that quietly makes everything in your kitchen taste better. A box of chicken broth costs about $2. A jar of bouillon cubes or paste costs about $3 and makes the equivalent of dozens of boxes. I switched to bouillon paste about a year ago, and it was one of the best small changes I have made. A single jar takes up almost no space, lasts for months, and lets me make broth on demand whenever I need it. Soups, rice, gravies, sauces, braising liquid. Everything benefits from real broth, and bouillon gives you that for pennies per use. The store brands are perfectly fine here. I have done side-by-side taste tests with the expensive brands, and the difference is minimal. Keep at least 2 jars of bouillon or 4 boxes of broth in your pantry. When cold and flu season hits, or when you just need a warm, comforting meal on a hard day, you will be glad you have it. This is the kind of item that turns a boring pot of rice into something that tastes like it came from a restaurant. Item number 13. Dried spices. I need to talk about this because it drives me crazy when I see people buying spice blends for $6 or $7 at the grocery store when the individual spices cost a fraction of that. Cumin, chili powder, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, oregano, black pepper, and Italian seasoning. Those 8 spices cover about 90% of everything you will ever cook at home. You can find them at dollar stores, at Walmart, at Aldi, and in the international aisle of most grocery stores for $1 to $2 each. The international aisle is the secret that experienced budget shoppers already know about. The same spices that cost $5 in the regular spice aisle cost $1.50 in the Mexican or Indian food section. I rebuilt my entire spice collection last year for under $15, and it has lasted me all the way through to now. Spices lose potency over time, but they do not go bad. Even a slightly faded spice is better than no spice at all. If your pantry has salt, pepper, and nothing else, you are leaving flavor and money on the table. Invest $15 in a basic spice set, and your home cooking will improve overnight. I am not exaggerating when I say this is one of the highest return investments you can make in your kitchen. Item number 14. Powdered milk. This is the one I told you about at the beginning. This is the item that most people completely overlook, and it might be the smartest budget food you can buy in 2025 and into 2026. A box of powdered milk at Walmart costs about $10 and makes the equivalent of roughly 5 gallons of milk. 5 gallons. If you buy regular milk at the store, you are paying about $4 a gallon right now in most markets. That is $20 for 5 gallons versus $10 for the powdered equivalent. But here is the real advantage. Powdered milk does not expire for over a year. Regular milk goes bad in a week or two. How many times have you poured milk down the drain because it went bad before you could finish it? I used to do that at least once a month. That is $4 a month in pure waste. Over a year, that is almost $50 thrown in the garbage. I started keeping powdered milk in my pantry 6 months ago, and I use it for baking, for cooking, for oatmeal, for smoothies, and yes, even for drinking when I mix it cold and let it chill in the fridge. It is not identical to fresh milk, but it is close enough for most uses, and the savings are undeniable. I looked into why more people do not buy this, and the answer is simple. Nobody talks about it. It is not marketed. It is not trendy. It sits on the bottom shelf in most stores and people walk right past it. But the families who know about it are saving real money every single month. This is the definition of insider knowledge. Now you have it too. Item number 15, frozen vegetables. I know I said this is a pantry list and frozen foods are technically not pantry items. But your freezer is part of your food storage system, and frozen vegetables deserve a place in this conversation because they solve one of the biggest problems budget shoppers face. Fresh vegetables going bad before you can eat them. A bag of frozen broccoli, mixed vegetables, peas, corn, or green beans costs about $1 to $1.50. That is the same price as fresh, but with one massive advantage. Frozen vegetables last for months. They do not wilt. They do not rot. They do not turn into a sad puddle of brown liquid in the bottom of your crisper drawer. I wasted so much money on fresh vegetables over the years that it makes me sick to think about. I would buy broccoli and bell peppers with the best intentions, and then life would happen, and by Friday they were garbage. Literally garbage. Since I switched to mostly frozen vegetables, my waste dropped to almost zero, and my nutrition actually improved, because I am eating them now instead of throwing them away. Stock your freezer with at least 5 to 6 bags of different frozen vegetables. Buy them on sale when you can. They are flash frozen at peak nutrition, so you are not sacrificing health for convenience. This is one of the smartest moves any budget shopper can make. Item number 16, eggs. Even with the price increases, eggs remain one of the most affordable complete proteins available. A dozen eggs right now runs between $3 and $5 depending on your location and the brand. That is roughly 30 to 40 cents per egg. Each egg gives you 6 grams of protein plus vitamins and healthy fats. You can scramble them, fry them, boil them, bake with them, make omelets, make fried rice, make egg salad, or add them to ramen. Eggs are the ultimate flexible ingredient. I eat eggs almost every single day, and I have for years. They are the backbone of budget eating. The key is to always have them on hand. When you run out of eggs and you are tired and hungry, that is when you make bad decisions. That is when the delivery app comes out and you spend $30 on food you did not need. Keep at least 2 dozen eggs in your fridge at all times. If you see them on sale, buy extra. They last 3 to 5 weeks in the refrigerator, which is longer than most people think. Check the date on the carton and buy the freshest ones available. Item number 17, canned soup. I go back and forth on this one because some canned soups are overpriced for what you get. But the store brand condensed soups at Walmart and Aldi are still in the $1 range, and they serve a very important purpose in a budget pantry. They are a complete meal that requires zero effort. When you are sick, exhausted, or just do not have the energy to cook, a can of soup and some crackers is the difference between eating something warm and nutritious or skipping a meal entirely. I keep at least 6 cans of assorted soups in my pantry at all times. Chicken noodle, tomato, cream of mushroom for casseroles, and a couple of heartier options like beef stew or chili. Cream of mushroom and cream of chicken soups also double as cooking ingredients. They are the base for dozens of casserole recipes that cost almost nothing to make. 1 can of cream of mushroom plus some pasta and a bag of frozen vegetables makes a full casserole that feeds 4 people for under $5. That is the kind of math that changes your weekly budget. Item number 18, Vinegar. Most people have one bottle of vinegar somewhere in the back of their cabinet, and they use it once a year. That is a mistake. White vinegar costs about $2 for a large bottle, and it does double duty as both a cooking ingredient and a cleaning product. In cooking, you use it for salad dressings, marinades, pickling, and balancing flavors. A splash of vinegar in a pot of beans or a bowl of soup brightens the whole dish in a way that nothing else can. I did not learn this until embarrassingly recently, and now I use it almost every day. As a cleaner, it handles countertops, glass, and deodorizing. That means your $2 bottle of vinegar is replacing a $5 bottle of all-purpose cleaner too. Keep at least 2 bottles, one white vinegar and one apple cider vinegar. The apple cider version costs a little more, but it is better for dressings and marinades. Between the two, you are covered for cooking and cleaning for months on an investment of about $4 total. Item number 19. Honey is one of the only foods that literally never expires. Archaeologists have found edible honey in Egyptian tombs that is thousands of years old. A bottle of honey from Walmart or Costco costs about $5 to $8, and it lasts indefinitely in your pantry. You can use it as a sweetener for tea, oatmeal, yogurt, and baking. You can use it in marinades and salad dressings. You can use it as a cough suppressant when you are sick. It is one of the most versatile items you can own. I keep a large bottle from Costco in my pantry and a smaller squeeze bottle near the stove. The cost per use is tiny because a little honey goes a long way. When sugar prices fluctuate or when you want a more natural sweetener option, honey is always there. It asks nothing of you. It takes up minimal space. It never goes bad. That is the definition of a perfect pantry staple, and most people do not have it on their shopping list. Item number 20. Baking soda. This is the last item on the list, and I saved it for the end because it is the most underrated product in any grocery store in America. A 1-pound box of baking soda costs about $1, one single dollar, and the number of things it does is almost absurd. In cooking, it is a leavening agent for baking. It tenderizes meat. It helps beans cook faster. It makes pancakes fluffier. Outside of cooking, it cleans surfaces, deodorizes your fridge, freshens carpets, and works as a gentle abrasive for scrubbing pots and pans. I use baking soda at least 3 or 4 times a week for different purposes. I keep a box in the fridge, a box in the pantry, and a box under the sink. $3 total, and I am covered for months across cooking and cleaning. When I see people buying 5 different specialty cleaning products for $20 total, I think about my 3 boxes of baking soda, doing the same job. That is the budget mindset. That is what this whole list is about. Now let me tie all of this together, because there is a pattern here that I want you to see. Every single item on this list shares 3 qualities. They are cheap, they last a long time, and they are incredibly versatile. That combination is what makes a pantry truly powerful. It is not about having a lot of food. It is about having the right food. If you went out today and bought every single item on this list, you would spend somewhere between $70 and $90 depending on where you shop and what sizes you buy. That $70 to $90 would give you a pantry that could feed your household for weeks, not days, weeks. And most of those items would still be there months from now because they do not expire. The people who struggle the most with food budgets are not the people who do not have money. They are the people who spend their money on the wrong things. They buy convenience. They buy marketing. They buy what is at eye level on the shelf instead of what is on the bottom shelf where the real value lives. You are not one of those people anymore. You have this list now. You know what works. You know what lasts. You know what gives you the most food for the least money. Most people will never sit down and figure this out. They will keep overspending and wondering why their grocery bill feels out of control. But you are ahead of them now. You have the information. All you have to do is act on it. If this video helped you, I need you to do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. I put out content like this every single week, and the people who watch first are the ones who benefit the most. Drop a comment and tell me which item surprised you the most. Tell me what is already in your pantry and what you are going to add. I read every single comment, and I use your feedback to make better videos. There is more coming soon. I am working on a video right now about the grocery store tricks that are designed to make you overspend, and I promise you it will change the way you walk through every aisle. You do not want to miss that one. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and keep making smart choices. I will see you in the next one.